Well, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, July the 11th. The time is 7 p.m., and I'm calling to order the regular meeting of Town Council. I'd like to welcome all of councillors here this evening. Also welcome our Chief Administrative Officer, Jeff Baker, Deputy Administrator Wendy McKinnon, our Municipal Clerk, Kim Casely, and also Kyle Reed with the Journal Pioneer. Welcome, Kyle. Also, welcome to everyone who is listening to us at home this evening. If you're watching us live, thank you for watching us on such a beautiful night. If you're watching us at some other time, thank you for joining in and listening to our meeting. The agenda can be found on our website and all the supporting documents. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory and is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Councillors, the agenda is before you this evening, and I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated if there's no additions or deletions. So moved by Councillor Spencer, seconded by Councillor McCrae. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare on the meeting tonight? Hearing none, we'll move right along. There's no delegations, so we'll move right along to the minutes of the previous meeting. First are the minutes of the June 13th meeting, regular meeting. Those minutes are before you. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of June 13th? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt them. So moved by Councillor Glant, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next are the minutes from our special meeting, our public meeting on June the 16th. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt those. So moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Any business arising out of the minutes of June the 13th regular meeting? Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Point 8.2.8 was the relocation of the mailboxes from Linwood Drive to Pleasant Street. I wasn't sure if we'd heard back from them or from Canada Post or if the letter had a chance to be written yet.
I guess nothing has been done that we can report on at this point, so it's still in the air to be decided. Thank you. Any other questions, Council? Hearing none, what about business arising out of the minutes of June the 16th? Nothing there? Okay, we'll move right along to the reports. First report is the Chief Administrative Officer's report. That report is before you. You've already had a chance to review it at our Committee of Council meeting, but are there any other questions or anything that needs clarification at this regular meeting of Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the CAO's report for June 2022, moved by Councillor Gallant, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the Fire Department statistical report. Any clarification needed on any of the items before you on that? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Fire Department statistical report. So moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the Police Department statistical report. You'll find that report before you. Are there any questions on the Police Department statistical report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the Development Permit Summary Report. That report is before you. There are a few items on there that were not on at our Committee of Council meeting. Are there any questions on any of the information that is before you? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Development Permit Summary Report. So moved by Deputy Mayor Pickering, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next, we have the bills for the town. The bills are before you. Any questions on any of the bills? Councillor Spencer.
I just wasn't sure, the pool roof and door building blocks bill, was that just deterioration or was that vandalism with the door?
Mr. Baker, do you have an answer to that? Deterioration. Age. Any other questions, council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive the bills and pay them in the amount of $184,103.69. So moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Additionally, we have the capital expenditure bills before you in the amount of $10,466.69. I would entertain a motion to pay those bills. So moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next are the bills for the water and sewer utility. Those bills are before you. Any questions on the bills on the water and sewer utility? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $10,400.91. So moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Okay, we'll go right into the summary income statement. That statement is before you. Are there any questions, clarification needed on the summary income statement? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive and adopt the summary income statement to the end of May 2022. So moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. The Credit Union Center report is before you. Any questions on the Credit Union Center report? This is for May 2022. Hearing none, I would entertain. Oh, do you have a question, Councillor Spencer?
I guess the only thing, Your Worship, I thought we should extend a thank you to Mr. Wood and his staff for the Canada Day work that they did.
Good point. Yeah, they did a fine job of looking after things this year, even though we had 2 years no practice. Mr. Baker, perhaps you'd extend that thanks to them or on our behalf. Any other comments or questions, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report for the Credit Union Center for May 2022. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the Mayor's report. The report is before you. Are there any questions on anything that is in the report, Council? Councillor Glant. Turn your microphone on too, please.
It's gone from here. Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to comment on the remarks you got in there regarding the closure of the Bank of Nova Scotia in Kensington within the next few months. First and foremost, and I seen where you had a release out to the newspapers or to the media regarding our disappointment in that. And I guess I just want to follow up with that as well. I was very disappointed myself, and I'm sure other councillors were as well, that I received a phone call from a gentleman from the Bank of Nova Scotia back 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess now. I guess I just happened to be the first one to answer my phone. I think that was it's very unfortunate, number one, very disappointed that they're going to close a facility like that within our community. And secondly, it's, in my opinion, it's a lack of respect for not only for us as a council, but the community in general to, I guess, call each and every councillor and the mayor and deliver that news over the phone instead of, you know, calling us, setting up a meeting with us or asking for a meeting with us to at least discuss it before the decision was made. I was very disappointed to hear that, and unfortunately it sounds like the decision has been made for them to close that facility, which is, as I said, very unfortunate for our community, and it's very disappointing, and it's very, I guess, unprofessional for a business of that nature to to do it the way they did it. And I was disappointed in that, and I'm sure, and I would hope all councillors would be. And having said that, I would also like to mention that maybe at some point in time yourself could call them or call them back and maybe set up a meeting with yourself or CAO and hopefully members of council to discuss the future of the building, with the possibility of them, means they're going to leave our community, with the possibility of them maintaining that building within our community, maybe keeping ownership of it. And if they're going to take the bank out of here, they could at least maybe keep banking machines in the building and keep their name on the building and maintain it, and maybe have it used for community use. And even people like the Lions Club or could use it for a food bank, or possibly other organizations within our community could use it for different things. So, but them maintain the building and keep it in our community under their name of some sort of sponsorship like that. So that's my thoughts on it, and like I said, very disappointing.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Glant. And I did mention that when I was talking with Stephen Van Ward, I believe his name was. Anyway, and we've already got contact address to deal with their property management department, and we will, as I mentioned in my notes or my report, we will be sending out a letter, and we will have conversations with them on that. That's part of the plan. Hopefully, we will be able to make something better than losing it completely. Anyway, we will be pushing forward on that. Thank you. Any other questions, Council? All right. If there are no other questions, then I would entertain a motion to receive the report and recommend, no, not recommend to Town Council. We are a Town Council. To receive the report for approval. So moved by Deputy Mayor Pickering, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Okay, moving on to the report from the Federation of Prince Edward Island Municipalities. Councillor Mann, do you have anything to report?
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Actually, we just had a very, very short lunch meeting virtually, so that we didn't talk too much of anything. Of the major discussion to come out of, we just approved our legal services provider, and the committees were redone and reappointed. So that's about the main aspects of our meeting. So, and of course, we don't meet in July or August.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pickering, Heart of PEI, anything new to report?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, not much new to report.
Would you like to turn on your mic, please?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Not much new to report. I have missed the last few meetings due to other obligations. We're still waiting to hear back if we're approved for the next phase from ACOA and the province. We did have a art unveiling of Renee's over at the C&B. Looks beautiful, and we'd like to extend a thank you to the town of Kensington for helping with that installation. That's it.
Good. Thank you. And I think the plans are to try and plant some flowers around the base of that. I don't know, Mr. Baker, whether you're aware of that or not, but we were talking with Public Works, and I think they were going to perhaps talk to Tara to try and get some flowers around the base to pretty it up a little bit. Okay, Councillor McCrae, anything from the Kensington Area Chamber of Commerce?
We had our last meeting in June for the summer, and we'll be done until September. They had hired a summer student. I let them know that we were looking for volunteers for the 55-plus games, and to contact Councillor Gallant if anyone wished to volunteer or be involved in it. What's the other thing? There was something. Oh, they're promoting a trip to Ireland, and they're hoping to get maybe some of the members of the chamber to look into it. It's a really, really good opportunity. The price is good, so they're promoting it, and they're having a golf tournament in September. So I don't know if we registered for the golf tournament or not in September.
I believe we've committed to putting a team in.
Okay. And I think that's it.
All right.
As far as
Sit on Kyle.
as far as the games, all the activities have been scheduled, as you can see in that program. We have a number of events. I'm not sure the exact number. I'd have to add them up there, but there's, I think, 12 or 13, maybe 14 events or different events between sporting events and card games and so on and so forth. It starts on, as it says, on Saturday, September the 10th, which the opening ceremonies will be at 9 o'clock at Kensington Intermediate Senior High School before the pickleball starts, and then we'll also have a closing social on Friday over at Family and Friends Restaurant. So the registration is now open. It will run from now on, right through from now until August 31st. And thus far, the registrations have been a bit slow, but that's not surprising, according to what I've been told. You know, as it gets closer, more people will register. They could be away on holidays and so on, so forth. We have some sponsorship, as you can see on the back, and there's a couple of other major sponsors that have came on board, but they haven't been added to this yet because they just give us their information and their contribution just this past week. So hopefully we'll get more of these printed up, and their names will be added to that, as well as the new program when the games start. And also all the sponsorship will be added to any social media and advertising we have within, you know, whether it be newspaper, or radio, or a Facebook and town website, and the 55 Plus Games website, and so on and so forth. So it's looking like it's going pretty good up until this point. We could still use some more volunteers the week off. So if anybody that knows anybody that wants to, have them contact myself or Cindy or Kiana down at the Fitplex in Kensington. Kiana is working for us for the summer, so she's taking registrations and working on the games along with Victoria from Charlottetown. So they can contact her as well, and if they're interested in volunteer, they should get in contact as soon as possible, because there is volunteer shirts that go out, and we'd have to know if they were going to volunteer, what size and so on that they would like. So other than that, it looks like it's going pretty good, and hopefully the weather will cooperate to come September, and we'll have her. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Glenn, I wonder, can you give me another one of those sheets? I handed mine off to Kyle, so. Thank you. All right, moving right along to new business. Request for decisions. The first one is request for decision number 25, and that is the development permit application for A&R Adventures at 49 Broadway Street. Are there any questions on the information that is before you, Council? Hearing none, who would like to read into the record the resolution? Deputy Mayor Pickering, go right ahead.
Be it resolved that... Thank you. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve a development permit application for the A&R Adventures, Inc. for the construction of a fire exit deck and stairway located at 49 Broadway Street North, subject to full compliance with the town's development control bylaw and all other applicable municipal, provincial, and federal legislation and regulations.
Thank you, Deputy. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the flagpole repair and installation. That is, information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed on the information before you? Hearing none, who would like to read into the record? Councillor Spencer, would you read into the record the resolution?
Be it resolved, excuse me, be it resolved that Town Council award a contract to Signcraft PEI for the Town of Kensington flagpole repair and installation project as per their quote dated July 8th, 2022, in the amount of $21,155.69 plus HST.
Thank you, Councillor Spencer. Do we have a seconder? seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is the Town of Kensington website design proposal, redesign, I should say. That information is before you. Are there any questions on the information in the request for decision number 27 on the website redesign? There was a lot of work went into that, and we had a lot of interest. There were 10 applicants, which made it interesting and challenging to make a decision, but I think Mr. Baker and Ms. Casely have done a fine job in making a recommendation. So, Council, if there's no questions, who would like to read into the record the resolution? Councilor Mann, this is a long one. That looks like it's one for you. You're getting a reputation.
Yes, but there are longer ones, so good, I'll get this out of the way.
All right. I forgot about that.
Whereas the Town of Kensington issued a request for proposals on May 6, 2022, requesting proposals from qualified website developers to complete a website redevelopment for the town. And whereas Results Marketing Incorporated successfully met with the requirements of the RFP process, and following a formal and independent review of all proposals, were deemed to provide best value to the town. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council award a contract to Results Marketing Incorporated to redevelop the town's website as per their proposal in the amount of $18,175 plus HST. Be it further resolved that Kensington Town Council authorize the CIO to enter a 5-year contract with Results Marketing for the provision of website hosting and security at a total cost of $1,912 plus HST.
Thank you, Councilor Mann. Do we have a second for that resolution? Seconded by Councilor Spencer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next, we have the electric vehicle charger installation. There's been a lot of work done on that project as well, and request for decision number 28 is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed on the information that is needed, that is before you on request for decision number 28? Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wasn't sure if in the resolution we should add a little extra, because I'm thinking we'll have to have our blacktop paving people back in to paint at those spots.
I believe that's included in the project. They are to paint the EV, correct, Mr. Baker?
Yeah, you are correct, and it's on-the-go property maintenance that do our lines for us, and so the electrical contractor has contracted on-the-go property maintenance to do the painting, install the bollards, things of that nature.
Thank you. I did see on the go in the quote, but I thought that was groundwork. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's supposed to be a complete job. Any other questions, Council? Councilor Mann.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. Since these are all town-owned properties, there's probably power already existing, so we won't need Maritime Electric to run new services and have meters and...
I will defer to Mr. Baker, I believe, on that.
I may have to defer to Ms. Casely, but I'm going to take a shot at it, that there is a service that needs to be run by the electrical contractor out to the parking spots out front, and the existing services at the rail yards, I believe, are fine, and the panel at the credit union center will have to be replaced with a larger panel, which is included in the cost of the project as well.
So any extra services is all there. I think there's meters installed as well, I believe, as well. So it should be a complete job when it's done. Any other questions, Council? All right, hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Deputy Mayor Pickering had her hand up.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that the Town Council award a contract to Copper Shore Electric for the Town of Kensington Water EV Charger Installation Project as per their quote dated June 20th, 2022 in the amount of $68,000 plus HST.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Pickering. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Spencer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Moving right along to request for decision number 29, which is special permit use for 61 Broadway North, which is the pending expansion of childcare. The information is all before you in the request for decision. Are there any questions or clarifications needed? Council? Deputy Mayor Pickering.
Thank you. I just had a question. Are they looking to continue the service up at the Queen Elizabeth and have this additional one, or is it taking one away and putting it to a new location?
To be honest with you, we're not sure on that, but I believe the one at the school is after school only.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's more than that, so.
So
Because
this-
it's 0 to age 11, correct? And the schools, do you know anything? Is there any? We're not aware of whether they're closing any, are we?
No.
We're not aware of whether they are or not, we don't know.
So this one down here will be full service all day?
Well, it's what we understand. We understand it's for ages 0 to 11, so wasn't it 0? Isn't that part of it?
No. I think the Chances as an organization provides childcare to ages 0 to 11, but there's been no indication given to us at this point in time as to what type of childcare is going to be provided, whether it's all day, whether it's after school, or likely demand will dictate that. But again, nobody's informed us either way.
I'm in favor of all day, more daycare, the better. It just it didn't seem clear on what their expectations were for the one to
No,
be.
and we're not aware of what their long-term plans are, whether there are any issues up at the school or not.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Okay, well, this one requires a resolution for a special permit in the commercial zone. Who wants to read this into the record? Councillor Spencer.
Whereas a request has been made by Chances for a special permit use to allow the operation of a childcare facility out of a property located at 61 Broadway Street North, PID number 77974. And whereas the property is currently zoned General Commercial C1 within the town's Development Control Bylaw, which permits childcare facilities as a special permit use. And whereas staff have evaluated the request against the town's Development Control Bylaw in consultation with DVA Consulting and is found to be in general compliance therewith, be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve a special permit use to operate a childcare facility at 61 Broadway Street North with the following conditions. Number 1, parents, guardians are to be instructed to use the rear parking lot for regular pickup and drop-off, and signage should be erected on Broadway Street should compliance become an issue at the cost of the property owner. And number 2, a building permit shall be obtained from the province of Prince Edward Island for any required renovations and or proposed change of use to ensure the building meets National Building Code requirement for a childcare facility.
Thank you, Councillor Spencer. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. All right, moving along to request for decision number 30, which is the Development Control Bylaw and Official Plan Amendment for PID number 762559, which is located on Rosewood Drive. Any discussion, any questions, any clarification needed on what is taking place there, Council? Hearing none, then we need the first official reading of the General Land Use Map Amendment Resolution. Who would like to read that into the record? Councillor Mann, you were wanting a long one, you said? You kind of set yourself up a little earlier?
No, thank you, Worship.
don't want to
2 in
disappoint
one
you.
night, my goodness.
We just love your voice.
Whereas a request has been received from the owners of a property located along Rosewood Drive, Lot B36, PID number 762559, to change the land use designation of a property from its current single residential R1 designation to a low-density residential R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the property. And whereas a public meeting to solicit comments, feedback from the public was held on June the 16th, 2022, in accordance with the PEI Planning Act and the town's Development Control Bylaw. And whereas town staff have evaluated the application in consultation with DVA Consulting, and are recommending that town council proceed with the official plan general land use map amendment. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve and adopt an amendment to the general land use map that is part of the town's official plan to change the land use designation of Lot B36, PID 762559, located along Rosewood Drive from its current single residential R1 designation to low-density residential R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the property.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Do we have a seconder for that resolution, which is the first reading? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, that is the first reading of that part of the portion of the resolution. Next is resolution number 1. Councillor Mann, do you want to read that as well, since you're on a roll? And this is the first reading to amend the zoning and subdivision control bylaw.
Whereas a request has been received from the owners of a property located along Rosewood Drive, Lot B36, PID number 762559, to rezone their property from its current single residential R1 zoning designation to low-density R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex along the property. And whereas a public meeting to solicit comments, feedback from the public was held on June 16, 2022, in accordance with the PEI Planning Act and the town's Development Control Bylaw. And whereas town staff have evaluated the application in consultation with DVA Consulting and are recommending that town council proceed with the Development Control Bylaw amendment. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council give first reading to amend the zoning and subdivision control bylaw to rezone Lot B36, PID number 762559, along Rosewood Drive from its current single R1 zoning designation to low-density residential R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the property.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Toombs, that we give approval to the first reading. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Councillor Mann, would you like to read into the record the resolution now?
All right, Your Worship. Whereas a request has been received from the owners of a property located along Rosewood Drive, Lot B36, PID number 762559, to rezone their property from its current single residential R1 zoning designation to low-density residential R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the property. And whereas a public meeting to solicit comments, feedback from the public was held on June 16, 2022, in accordance with the PEI Planning Act and the town's Development Control Bylaw. And whereas town staff have evaluated the application in consultation with DVA Consulting and are recommending that town council proceed with the Development Control Bylaw amendment. And whereas the bylaw amendment was read a first time at this meeting, be it resolved that Kensington Town Council formally approve and adopt first reading to amend the zoning and subdivision control bylaw to rezone Lot B36, PID 762559, along Rosewood Drive from its current single residential R1 zoning designation to low-density residential R2 to facilitate the construction of a duplex on the property.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Glant. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. And for those who may be watching at home, they must be wondering about all this formal stuff. We do have to go through a formal structure, a resolution to give reading, and then a resolution to actually do the reading. So we apologize for the amount of bureaucracy that is involved. All right. Moving right along to other matters. I have a few things I wanted to bring to Council's attention. Number one, we were taking a look at updating the float it's been 8 years since we've had the float redone, and we're taking a look at Mr. Mr. Wood, and I know Doug, I think, and I'm not sure who all's involved in it. They're taking a look at probably redesigning. We're trying to look at a design that would take the main structure out of the float right now and try to arrange to, well, I think what they're looking at is perhaps a fence around it where maybe all of council can be able to get on the float at times, and other people have place to sit, so they'll be a little more usable. And they're trying to make sure it's incorporated, that we can put our Christmas lights on it and things like, maybe even a Christmas tree at the Christmas parade. So it's being looked at now, a redesign to try and update for the upcoming parade in August. So I just wanted to let you know that is being reviewed, and hopefully we'll have something that's different at this parade rather than the same one we've had for the last 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. A reminder that there are no committee meetings in July and August, so it'll just be council meetings. And just another point of interest, I'm going to be away from July 20th to the 30th, so things should run smooth then. And I'm not here to stir things up. And if you have not nominated anybody for the summer games, the torch relay nomination, I would certainly encourage you to submit an application, submit a nomination, whether it's even for yourself or for somebody else. I believe Kim sent out an email to everybody, staff and council included, asking you to take a look at nominating people. So there would like to get some more nominations. I'm not sure how many, don't know if we know how many have gone in now. I think there was 11 at one point, but I think there's more since then. Hopefully there's more. Do you know? We don't see them. Oh, we don't see them. I just thought we might know how many have gone in. Pardon me?
How many do we need?
As many as you can. We need as many. You can nominate as many as you can, and then there's a committee that goes through and selects. I think they select 10 to 15, I believe, something like that. So hopefully we get more nominations and give them a good selection. You don't have to be an athlete. You only have to travel about, I think it's less than half a kilometer is what you'd have to walk, run, or crawl if you have to. Or it's even open to anybody that may be needed a wheelchair. And so if you have anybody to nominate, go online, fill out the form. That is everything I had in other matters. Any other council, Deputy Mayor Pickering?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just putting a little note out there that if anybody has a youth that would like to partake in the ambassador program this year, to definitely get their names into Robert, and we can assign a business to sponsor them.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Gallant?
Thank you, Your Worship. I've got a whole list here for you tonight.
Okay.
I had a couple of complaints. I don't know if any other councillors have, so after I got the complaint, I kind of kept an eye on it myself, and apparently, there is, because I've checked it out, a couple of vehicles parking on Main Street on a regular basis, just between Commercial and School Street, one being a half-ton truck and the other an SUV. Now, I did make a comment, I think perhaps to the police on it. I'm not sure where they went with it, but anyway, just wondering if we could follow up with that one. See, they apparently they're parking there pretty well all day, and I don't know if they live nearby in apartments or what, but they're taking up, in one case, the truck took up 2 parking spots for 2 days on the weekend, so.
Yeah, I
Right
believe,
in front of the business, yeah.
I believe the chief is aware of that. I believe I've heard a discussion taking place on that
Okay.
in the past. I'm not sure it was in the office or what, but I believe that is something that he is currently aware of, but we'll let Mr. Baker follow up on it. Thank you.
Okay. My next item is, I had a couple of calls on the weekend, and I don't know if anyone else has had calls on this one, and I've also spoken with Chief Sutherland on it, and he is somewhat aware of it, but he was going to check into it. In the Pleasant Street area of spotting of coyotes down around the seniors' homes. So I don't know if anyone else has got that call or complaint. Not really a complaint, it's just more of a concern from some residents down in that area. And I know there's foxes, because I've spotted foxes myself, but apparently they've spotted coyotes within the town down in that area. So I did bring it to Chief Sutherland's attention, but I think he's on vacation this week, and I got a call again on it last night. So just wanted to bring all council members up to date on that one. If you get a call on it, and I think Chief Sutherland said he was going to contact, I'm not sure who with the province, maybe would be wildlife maybe or something, to see what maybe could be done, if anything, with them. But just to be aware that apparently is at least one, or maybe more than one, coyotes looming around town. My next item is the mailboxes that we brought up. I think Councillor Spencer might have brought it up, or someone brought it up at our committee of council down at the Credit Union Centre. Now, I was down to the Credit Union Centre before our meeting tonight to pick up some papers, and when I drove in, there's ball games going on at the arena, at the ball fields, and the cars were all parked in front of those mailboxes, and they were backed right up. That if someone went to get their mail tonight, they'd have to squeeze in just to walk in there and get even between the mailboxes and the back of the cars or the front of the cars. They were back pretty well right up to the mailboxes. So I think it's something that I guess maybe you've already followed up on it, but it's something we're going to have to look at, because I can see it being a problem.
Yeah, I think Mr. Baker's got that in hand on to-do item.
Okay.
We'll try to, hopefully you'll get an answer and get some sort of a decision made on where it's going to go.
And my last item, I should have brought it up in the 55-plus games report, I guess, but as we spoke, I think, earlier on in the spring, and it's getting close now, and we obviously don't have to make a decision tonight, but I'd like to bring it up so council can be aware of it for our next meeting, and maybe put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Is the 55-plus games is looking for municipalities each year to carry on with the games for the following year, and in this case, the summer games. So, as you're aware, on the opening day, they raise their flag, but I think on the closing banquet or the closing social, they want to pass the torch on, or the flag on, to the next community that's going to host the games next year. And they've already asked us, I think, at some point, if we'd be interested in doing it again next year, and I think I brought it up. Didn't know if this council wanted to make that decision, or whether it was something that they wanted to leave, but they would have to know before our September games in order to do that. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Council can think about it and maybe put it on the agenda for our August meeting, and then we could have an answer for them when registration closes, so we can tell them one way or the other for the next games.
All right,
Thank you.
Council have any feelings on that? Do we want to talk about potentially hosting the games the second year in a row? I can understand the committee wanting to know sooner rather than later, because if we're not, they'll want to get moving, and they may prefer to know an answer before August meeting, because September gets here pretty close. That's only a month away. So does council have any thoughts on that? Do you have any thoughts on it, Councillor Glant, from your point of view? You've been looking at
Well, it was kind of a bit of I mean, I've sat on committees for major tournaments here in town over the years, and chaired in hockey, of course, most of the time, or ball. But in this case, it's a little bit different, because it's takes in it's island-wide, and the ones I sat on before were maritime, or Atlantic, I should say, but just a one sport, basically, whether it be hockey or ball at the time, where this has taken in a number of sports and events such as card games. And as you've seen there in their schedule tonight, most of the games are being hosted here in Kensington, or the majority of them. We tried to keep them within the town or the surrounding areas, with the exception of one or two that had to go to other communities, which is not a bad thing, but will still be hosted under our umbrella due to either a facility or whatever the case might be. We had to move them to a different community or town. But overall, it's kind of I think in the future, maybe a few more volunteers. Of course, with COVID, and it was a little slow getting off the mark, and we still weren't sure, even when we started there in the spring, how it was all going to unfold. So maybe a few more volunteers as far as committee goes and chair people go would help in the future. But overall, it's probably, I guess we won't know until it's over how successful it was. I guess it'll depend on participants too, whether some of those events might have to be canceled because there's not enough registration. But overall, so far, I think it's been pretty good. And again, it's kind of maybe a bit of a learning experience for everybody that's there. And the PEI Plus games have come on, and even their executive director is new to these games. She wasn't there before, I don't think, as well. So, yeah, it's. I think it would be something that would be a bit of a feather in the town's hat if they were to continue on, but I guess that's up to council and whether they could get future council members to be involved and or volunteers in the future. I guess you never really know till you go with it.
Well, the beauty of it is, I guess it's probably always easier to do it the second year in a row. You've learned in the first year, so we've got a template and everything behind us, so it probably would be easier moving forward if council did decide that we wanted to host it, be the host for the second year in a row. I know they've been talking about that, trying to get whoever hosts it to do it more than 1 year. Any thoughts, council? Are we prepared to discuss that and potentially make a decision? Councillor Glant, go ahead.
Just for council's information, the winter games go each spring. I think it's March or whenever it is. And of course, some of the same sports are card games, of course, and board games. But of course, that would be curling and hockey and some of the same sports. But Cornwall, I think, has been hosting them for the last. I'm going to say, I could be wrong on this, but up to the last 5 years, they've been the host municipality. So they've taken that on in the winter games. So just so council knows that there is another municipality out there that hosts them year after year.
Yeah. All right, council, thoughts? It's not a bad idea. Everybody's quiet. Councillor Spencer.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I wonder, is Cornwall hoping to do it again, or like if they've already got the infrastructure in place for winter games?
Well, I think what he said is Cornwall have been hosting the winter games for the last 4 or 5 years, and whether they're going to continue, they may stop. But I think that's what the 55 plus have been trying to do, is get some consistency with the municipality. Is that correct, Councillor Glant?
Yes, Cornwall has hosted it, and it could be, last 4, and they are hosting it. To my knowledge, from what I understand, they're hosting it again this coming in 2023, and they have for the last, 4, 5, 6 years. So, I assume they just continue on year after year. I don't think you have to take it on. I don't know if you have to take it on for a 5-year period, maybe a year to year. I'm not sure. I think year to year is probably how they do it.
I would think you'd make a decision every year whether you want to host it the next year. You might be given the opportunity to host it another year if everything goes well. If it doesn't go well, you might not be given that opportunity. Councillor Glant?
Yes, and I could get back to Victoria or the President, Susan Dessel, and find out. I'm up until this point, I'm assuming they haven't contacted any other municipality for next year's games because they were waiting to hear from us. Yeah. But I can get back to her on that, and if we decide that we want to do it, and if that decision was made tonight, then I could tell her that we're interested, and then she could say, take it back to her committee and say sure, and then we could approve it at the August meeting if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah, we could make a formal request to host it a second year kind of thing on behalf of council if that was council's wish. What do you think, council?
Sure, I think it's great for people going.
Would you want to say that into your microphone?
Sleep. I think that would be wonderful. We kept on going, as long as we had the support of
Is that
Ivan.
a motion?
I would like to motion that we would offer our town to the 2023 50 or 55 plus games, summer.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Pickering. Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor, I think Councillor Toombs got the hand up first. All right, Council, what the discussion is on is that we would make the formal request to the 55-plus games to host the games for a second year in a row. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, council. Motion carried unanimously. I think it's a good idea. We got the hard work under our belt for the first year. Hopefully it'll go smoother another year, or at least as smooth. All right, any other matters? Hearing none, we'll move right on to correspondence. The first item of correspondence is a letter from the Provincial Credit Union thanking Robert Wood and the staff at the Credit Union Center for their assistance during the grade 6 graduation. Also to the Kensington Police Services and Louis Sutherland and Landon Newell for their leading the parade. Also to the maintenance staff for helping to set up and getting the town barbecue going, which took a few little problems, didn't it, Councillor McRae? Councillor McRae was one of the ones instrumental in organizing that on behalf of the Provincial Credit Union, and I happened to be there and see some of the work that she was doing. So it was great to be there, and I can tell you that, well, as I mentioned in my report as well, that the grade 6 students and the parents and the guardians that were all there, they were very appreciative of what has taken place this year. So thank you to everyone who did participate. The next is just a report from the Kensington Area Senior Surfers Annual Report. They send us a report every year. We provide the facility down there for them to use free of charge, and they thank us again and express their appreciation for allowing them to use the facility, and also for the 2 new locks on the doors and that were done. There's no other, let's just receive those for information at this stage. Is there any questions or any other correspondence? Councillor Glant.
Just wanted to bring the council's attention, this is more in good humor than anything else, a local resident, or not local in town, but nearby resident, a gentleman by the name of Michael Bergeron, lives in Stanley Bridge, and on the weekend he went for the Guinness Book of World Records, and he got it, providing it's approved. He run 10 kilometers, and I was involved in running and a member of the Roadrunners Club, that's why I'm bringing it up. He ran 10 kilometers in 34 minutes and 47 seconds, which is not really a quick time, because some of them do it quicker, but he did it juggling 3 balls the whole time,
right.
and he never dropped them once, and he got the record. So I just thought I'd bring that up to council's attention. So if anybody in council wants to try for that record, they're more than welcome to give it a shot.
Yeah, time may not be the factor in my case. All right, there is no committee of camera, or committee of the whole, I should say. So at this stage of the game, there being nothing else to bring before this regular meeting of council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor McRae, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. It is 7:53 p.m. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Thank you to all those who are watching from home, and I hope you have learned a bit about municipal politics.